proud of our association with the Broncos and with you, and I'm very happy to be sponsoring this film.
Well, naturally, we want to thank you, Pete, and Olympia Brewing Company for sticking with us all year.
John, the film is a tribute to you, to the Bronco organization, and certainly to your fans. And are you ready to take a look back?
What are we waiting for, Pete?
On September 17, 1972, more than 51,000 people jammed into Mile High Stadium to watch the Denver Broncos begin a new season against the Houston Oilers. What they saw was a wide-open, exciting team whose prospects seemed as bright as their colorful jerseys. And they saw a new coach, John Ralston, whose honest enthusiasm seemed to inspire everyone. Bronco quarterback Steve Ramsey sent his receivers roaming through the Houston secondary and repeatedly found them open for valuable gains. A pass to tight end Billy Masters gave the Broncos the first of the many points they would score on this opening day. In the second quarter, Ramsey added 6 more, this time with a play-action quarterback keeper. The Bronco defense protected the early lead with a blitzing pass rush that reached Dan Pastorini 5 times. With 3 seconds to play, punter Billy Van Heusen, seeking only to run out the clock, suddenly discovered 66 yards of open ground and sprinted to the final touchdown, which gave Denver a resounding 30-17 victory. But in spite of this convincing beginning, in spite of their new coach and new spirit, Denver was still plagued with many old problems. Problems which shadowed their bright hopes in doubt and defeat. Against the San Diego Chargers, several Denver passes fell into the wrong hands, and a concerned John Ralston watched his team lose by 23 points. The following week in Denver, the band played the theme from Mission Impossible, then watched the Bronco offense self-destruct against the Kansas City Chiefs. Against the Cincinnati Bengals, the Broncos suffered critical breakdowns in their punt coverage, and Tommy Casanova streaked 66 yards to a score which sent Denver down to defeat 21-10. Against the Minnesota Vikings, a last-second game-winning pass proved that the Broncos still lack the experience and poise necessary to win the close ones. Defeat is unpleasant, but it is also revealing. In game after game, John Ralston discovered that he had a team that always scrambled and scrapped, often neutralizing mistakes with hustle and desire. Play failed, as many did in the first half of the season, Ralston never criticized his players. Instead, he would say, "Try it again. Believe in yourself. Make it work. And often it did. Perhaps the D had a new meaning: determination.
Now let's be sure.
John Ralston never seemed discouraged, nor did he ever lose his enthusiasm.
All right, now I gotta have that great coverage. All right, we're gonna knock one clean out of here. All right, now come on, man. Let's get a hand in here. Let's go down there and knock somebody's jack off. What do you say? Come on, let's go to work. Way back in the subconscious, it has to be there that they go on the field, maybe optimistically at the conscious level, thinking they're going to win, but the subconscious saying that chances are they won't, and this has to be changed, and sometimes it takes quite a while to do it.
Ralston is an instructor at the Dale Carnegie School of Success and sees himself as an active, positive participant in every game.
I tend personally to reserve about 4 things to do during the course of the game. Number 1 is to make all kicking decisions. I think this has to be reserved for a head coach. Number 2 is to keep track of the scoring combinations. Number 3 is to analyze very carefully the game plan itself. And number 4 is to encourage personnel. Accredited Dale Carnegie instructor, and I'm kind of a nut on that. Certainly enthusiasm, the magic of enthusiasm is so important in coaching because you can get that little extra edge. Now, I just happen to believe in this. I vividly imagine things, I ardently desire them, I sincerely believe, and I enthusiastically act upon all phases of coaching. There's it. Okay, field goal, field goal, field goal. Jimmy, let's try one. Jimmy, I think we're in range right now, aren't we? Now, the important thing, Jim, is to really, you got to tell them to cover because you could come up short. If you do, they got to cover. So just tell them now, be sure you guys cover. So hit it up high, you know, on the ball and power it, you know, use your power to... Nice going. Nice going. That's a hell of a kick. We need one more of those now, and we'll win it. With one more. Yeah. No. Ball when I kick it. Did it? Well, your muscles are through. You need a little, right? Hey, listen. Tell them to really cover like a bunch of mad dogs. No! No! No!
Got on the wrong play.
The 8 guys in motion.
Let's go then. 4 touchdown.
No.
Although he ardently, fervently, and enthusiastically cared, he often had nothing but the consolation that comes to a valiant loser.
We had our opportunities and we didn't make them pay off.
A loss is a disappointment, but it is also a necessary lesson. Ralston suffered but learned from each one and patiently went about improving and reorganizing his team. To strengthen his offense, he had traded for Charlie Johnson, a veteran quarterback whose career had been checkered with injury and interrupted by military duty. But once in Denver, and given the opportunity to start, Johnson summoned up all his powers. He summoned up the skills everyone thought he had forgotten. He refined those he had already learned. He put everything together to become the most accurate passer in Denver history. To complement Johnson, Ralston purchased Rod Sherman, number 84, a wide receiver from the Oakland Raiders. Sherman is not particularly fast nor elusive, but he managed to sneak into the open enough times to become Denver's leading receiver. Raven Moses, number 25, joined the team in mid-season, and his spectacular catches added momentum to forces already in motion. Under Johnson's leadership, the passing game matured into a consistent striking force and went on to roll up more than 2,600 yards through the air. In all of pro football, only the 49ers and the Jets gained more. On October 22nd, the remodeled Broncos faced the Oakland Raiders, a team confident of their position on top of the Western Division. But against the Raiders on this day was a fiercely determined Bronco team, united not only by weeks of hardship and adversity, but by hope and purpose as well.
Let's go, Floyd! We need 7! Go by you! Attack him now, go get him! Come on, Charlie! Come on, Well, kick the field goal. Let's go, baby, punch it in! In there!
And I was lucky to get that. I hit so much damn dirt.
Stay on top now, baby! Oh! Tell those guys to stay after him now! Too big down, Steve! Let's go, baby! Dig him, Graham! No! Get the ball, Smitty! Get the ball, Smitty! Let's go, Lyle! Let's go, Pete! Yes, be relentless in your rush. Be relentless. Outside, Lloyd! Outside, Lloyd! 78's holding! Watch it! What's 78? 73! Look at it. He's got his shirt. Son of a gun!
Grabbed a hold of him.
Come on, Tony! You saw it! Hey, sir, would you please watch 73? Go back in there. The guy's playing scared. All you gotta do is keep in his face and press him and spray him all over the place.
The Raider attack was slow and disorganized and loaded with costly mistakes. Denver, guided by Charlie Johnson, was poised and decisive. His accurate passes riddled Oakland's league-leading pass defense, and his play selection showed clearly how well the Broncos were prepared for this particular game. Johnson completed 20 of 28 passes for 361 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Broncos smashed the Raiders 30-23. It was their first victory over Oakland in 10 years and convincing proof of the potency of the revitalized Denver offense. In spite of the resurgent passing attack, the focus of the Bronco offense still centered on the legs of Floyd Little, number 44. For 6 years in Denver, he has quietly, steadily gone about his business as one of football's finest ground gainers. Surprisingly, he is used mostly as an inside runner in apparent disregard of his modest 195 pounds. The assignment is, however, a tribute to his strong leg drive and extraordinary balance. frustrated defender once said, "Tackling Floyd Little is like wrestling with a bag of flour open at the top. He just spills out all over, and you're left holding the bag." The bowed legs, the flowing moves, the easy rhythm all add up to the fact that a little goes a long way. The Denver team assumed its shape and character from its veterans. But there were younger players who added depth and dimension to the team. There was Randy Montgomery, number 21, a talented young artist whose lust is not for life, but for the goal line. Riley Odoms, number 88, caught 21 passes and clearly demonstrated why he was the Broncos' #1 draft choice in 1972. Tom Graham, number 83, was drafted 4th, but tackled with such enthusiasm and effect that he became the Broncos' starting middle linebacker by mid-season. In front of Graham was a big and battle-tested defensive line. Paul Smith, number 70, was feared by every offensive unit in football and was so good he went to the Pro Bowl. Lyle Alzado, number 77, is an avalanche of a man who can bench press 500 pounds. And when he hits you, says one running back, he crosses your eyes. Alzado and Smith were joined at various times by Lloyd Voss, Pete Duranko, Tom Domrus, and John Hoffman to comprise a front four which tackled the quarterback more times than any team in the AFC. The defensive line epitomized the raw strength and fighting spirit that became the Broncos' trademark during the last games of the season of '72. High noon, December 10th. 9 degrees at kickoff. The second to last game of 1972. Any appraisal of Ralston's work would rest on what was done in these final 2 games. Against the San Diego Chargers, the Broncos demonstrated all the elements of winning football. The defensive line smothered San Diego's running game, then moved their attentions to quarterback John Hadel and frequently forced him to pass into the teeth of the Denver secondary. On offense, the Broncos showed the Chargers everything but mercy as they freewheeled through San Diego for 38 points. Men like Bobby Maples, Laren Jackson, Tom Lyons, Marv Montgomery, and Mike Current formed a secure passing pocket from which Charlie Johnson delivered 2 touchdown strikes to Haven Moses. The blocking for the running game was just as impressive. Time after time, the offensive line opened gaping holes, and Fran Lynch, number 22, And Joe Dawkins, number 33, made good use of the extra running room. The special teams put the finishing touches on a total team triumph when they loosed Charlie Greer on a 65-yard tightrope trip to a touchdown. The following Sunday, the Broncos ended the season of '72. But finished it charging toward a future that would never again be built in the image of the past. The Broncos clobbered the New England Patriots 45-21, ending the season with a 5-9 record. It was a complete rout. Denver gained control of the game right from the first quarter. Their relentless running attack established a momentum that would grow minute by minute as the game progressed. Denver's defense pursued Jim Plunkett so enthusiastically, so ardently, and so fervently that he lost more than 50 yards attempting to pass. For the second week in a row, the special teams contributed a big play. Bill Thompson raced through the Patriots on a punt return for 58 yards. Charlie Johnson's 3 touchdown passes were convincing proof that his best years in the NFL are still ahead of him. Haven Moses gathered in the last touchdown, and the Broncos were winners again. Victory was sweet, but sweeter still was the fact that it was the first time in Denver history that the Broncos ended their season with 2 consecutive wins. Victories won not only for the present, but for the long and better days that are to come. Victories to be earned by true professionals, men who have survived a testing of the spirit and who now are ready to tread firmly on pro football's next decade.
Coach, at the risk of asking the obvious, how do the Broncos look for 1973?
Well, Pete, I think we'll just continue to get better. We have a good, solid, young, enthusiastic football team, a team that's willing to go out on the field and work hard to get better. And with that, you just can't help but succeed. I can't help but feel that the future is very, very bright. We all have a positive outlook, and we're anxious for 1973 to roll around.
Well, John, the Olympia Brewing Company certainly wishes you and all your fans the very best of luck in 1973.
The Denver Broncos played well last season under their new coach, John Ralston. And they carried home victories against some of the leading teams in the league. 1973 should bring some exciting football to Denver, because John Ralston and his Broncos will be strong challengers waiting to prove their might against every team they play. One thing we can be sure of, they'll be ready for that challenge.
All I can say is, as one newcomer to another, welcome to Colorado.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
The preceding has been brought to you by the Olympia Brewing Company of Tumwater, Washington, brewers of light Olympia beer.